And then we can't not. It happened this morning. My mom calls me.
I mean,
Logan.
should we? This is like
No, we don't even.
Bro, we're on it, dude.
Hello?
Jesus. Come on, bro. Come on, dude. This is fucked.
A quote, small militia in armored trucks wearing SWAT and/or tactical gear was seen leaving his house.
Logan Paul completely fell apart when news broke about Jake Paul getting arrested over the Anthony Joshua car crash situation. Logan's devastated, but there's way more to this story than what's hitting the headlines.
Your brother's house is getting raided by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I said, what, Mom? Mom, it's 8:30. What do you...
He's standing by his brother no matter what, throwing serious shade at how this whole investigation is being handled. Sure, the Anthony Joshua accident was absolutely devastating, but Logan's pointing out some major holes in who's really being held responsible here. He thinks the Paul name is making them easy targets for both the press and law enforcement.
Shit out of me, government.
wow.
I won't say a word, but yeah, I checked in on him. He's fine. He physically, again, it's a bit of a headache. We're figuring it out, and
Logan's absolutely heartbroken watching Jake get dragged into this mess, and he's not backing down from defending him. He's calling out all the madness around Anthony Joshua's devastating car wreck that took 2 innocent lives.
Yo.
Right? You have to.
Can you do this? Yo, no, this.
Yo, chill.
Yo,
Dude.
this.
According to Logan, the Paul brothers are getting completely destroyed in the media for no good reason, painted as the bad guys in a disaster they had nothing to do with creating. And Logan's done staying quiet about it.
It's what was it, about an hour ago, so I guess everything's calmed down a little bit. I thought it was a bitch move, if I'm honest, because anytime an attack like that.
This whole thing has turned Jake Paul into a complete joke across boxing circles and beyond. The FBI, looking into his supposed connection to Anthony Joshua's terrible car accident, has put both brothers under serious heat, showing everyone they care more about being reckless than being responsible.
AJ said, and everybody knows, he's not a real boxer. There's levels to this game, and he was way out of his level.
Now the Paul brothers are getting roasted worldwide, their reputation in shambles, and nobody trusts them anymore. Turns out being famous doesn't protect you when the public turns against you.
It's just sad. It just makes you realize how valuable life is, and how things can change in a heartbeat. So when we talk about fights and we talk about beefs, and these things are just nothing when it comes to real life and losing the life. So it was a sad thing to hear, a sad thing to see. God knows how it'll affect those that saw it mentally, emotionally. But you've got to think about these 2 men who were somebody's child, someone's brother, and that's what you've got to think about, those people that have lost their lives.
Frank Smith goes all out explaining how Jake Paul's own stupid decisions got him into this nightmare. Most people would run from drama like this, but Jake jumped right into the controversy head first, and now reality's hitting hard.
They are not your enemies. They are your brothers and sisters under God. We all came from Adam and Eve. In the beginning, everybody on earth. Remember that.
You can see the Paul brothers' massive egos everywhere, proving to everyone that being famous without taking responsibility just leads to total embarrassment and serious legal trouble. Eddie Hearn doesn't hold back, calling Jake Paul's behavior totally reckless and completely planned out.
Is 2 weeks ago, this guy's in front of the whole world. Netflix, millions of dollars, breaks Jake Paul's jaw in 2 places. Decides to go back to Nigeria, almost dies. 2 of his closest friends pass away in the accident.
This wasn't some accident or bad judgment call. This was Jake making a conscious choice that put people in danger and caused total chaos. The Paul brothers are getting exposed as careless and way too full of themselves, learning the hard way that fame won't save you from facing the music after making calculated, terrible decisions.
You don't know what other people are going through. And even though AJ, we're not on the best terms, man, I feel for this brother, man. Because it could have been my family, could have been my friends. And, I feel like, man, it's mentally, kind of draining looking at this stuff all day online. And like I said, I didn't really see nothing too graphic until this morning. Now I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life, man. I've seen dead bodies before and all that. And man, I don't even know how to.
Duke McKenzie absolutely destroys Jake Paul without mercy, exposing how he's completely overwhelmed and out of his league. Everything he did during the AJ crash investigation shows the same total lack of professionalism he brings to boxing.
Of what happened, obviously it's a tragic incident. 2 people have lost their lives. It's a horrific moment. I thought the reporting of it yesterday, I've read and obviously got in contact with his management team straight away. I thought the reporting of it was responsible.
The Paul brothers' massive egos and complete incompetence are impossible to ignore anymore, proving they can't handle real pressure or take any actual responsibility.
Life. And it's so crazy to think that over a week and a half ago he was on top of the world. Apparently he'd pocketed $92 million from his Jake Paul fight. The American audience was in love with him. His star was bigger than ever. And then just yesterday we see footage like this of AJ being pulled from the wreckage in a situation where if he'd just sat on the other side of the car, they wouldn't have been pulling him out alive. There's no way he would have survived.
Johnny Nelson brings everyone back to reality, pointing out that real-life situations are way more serious than any boxing storyline. Anthony Joshua's crash cost 2 people their lives, and no fight or publicity stunt even comes close to that kind of tragedy.
His accident.
Yeah, for them and the family, anything they need. You know, sometimes when someone is a star, they have a lot of things in their life taken care of for them. So you really have to move into that mode in this situation as well. Make sure obviously they're getting the best medical attention, make sure their family are safe and happy and as happy as can be.
The Paul brothers, being reckless and completely self-centered, should consider themselves fortunate they weren't directly responsible for even more destruction. This is a brutal wake-up call about taking responsibility and facing real consequences.
AJ, you're one lucky lad. God bless you, I'm glad you're alive again. Shocked me, that's terrible.
Tyson Fury loses it on the media circus and public spectacle around Jake Paul's supposed involvement. Even though the Paul brothers are getting totally humiliated for their reckless actions, Fury wants everyone to remember that being human matters most.
To such a severe car accident there, like, alright, he's lucky enough to still be alive, but fuck me, his body must be going through a lot right there. This is not a man who winces in pain easily, right? He gets punched for a living. And obviously, like, you're supposed to take people out of car accidents like that with great care because you don't want to.
Under all this chaos, Anthony Joshua made it through a horrific crash while 2 people died, but instead the world gets obsessed with drama, showing just how big the Paul's egos are and how they refuse to take responsibility. Sunil Raj breaks down the insane scope of what Anthony Joshua went through while making the Paul brothers look absolutely ridiculous. AJ's dealing with life or death situations, losing 2 close friends while the Paul's reckless actions are getting dragged through the mud publicly. Jake Paul getting arrested just makes everything worse, showing how entitled and irresponsible they really are. Logan getting emotional proves how desperately both brothers are trying to save face. Millions watched AJ destroy opponents in the ring, but now he's fighting something way bigger, staying alive and getting justice. Whatever the Paul brothers actually did, it's got them under brutal public examination, and the whole world is watching. Jarrell Miller really feels for AJ's unthinkable trauma, understanding the emotional damage from the crash and losing his friends so tragically. The Paul brothers' reckless involvement just makes the scrutiny and public anger even worse. When you see lives hanging by a thread, fans start wondering how fame and massive egos could drag the brothers into such a devastating mess. Gareth Davies focuses on the real human price of Anthony Joshua's crash, making sure everyone remembers the 2 tragic deaths. The media handled the story the right way, but now the Paul brothers are getting destroyed for their supposed connection, dealing with a hurricane of public hate. A mix with reckless behavior has crashed together, leaving them totally humiliated and getting hammered by non-stop scrutiny. The contrast between Joshua's peak success and the near-death horror he survived is absolutely shocking. Going from millions in earnings to fighting just to stay alive, this tragedy shows how allegedly reckless the Paul brothers were. Public fury is guaranteed when their actions or even just being around the crash makes them targets for worldwide criticism and total embarrassment. Eddie emphasizes the actual human price behind all the headlines, showing how Anthony Joshua and the victims' families need support, care, and protection, while the Paul brothers deal with the fallout from their reckless choices. AJ's brush with death and losing his close friends tragically shows just how serious this whole situation really is. Jake's arrest and the FBI looking into everything has put them under worldwide scrutiny, embarrassing them in front of everyone. Fame, money, and boxing success used to protect them, but now their reputation is falling apart, and everyone can see what happens when ego and irresponsibility take over. Eddie's message reminds fans that beyond fight entertainment, life and family are what really count. This is a brutal reality check for Jake and Logan Paul, who have to answer for all the chaos surrounding AJ. Joe Rogan asks the terrifying questions everyone's thinking about after Anthony Joshua's nightmare car crash. Surviving came with a horrible price, and even though AJ made it out physically, the mental and emotional damage stays with him. Losing his friends who were in the front seats is beyond imagination, and clearly the Paul brothers' supposed involvement has made the aftermath even worse. Their arrest and FBI investigation have put a dark cloud over their reputation, proving that fame and influence can't protect them from being held accountable. Logan Paul, trying to defend himself and his brother, isn't working against how angry the public really is. Fans want real answers, questioning how such carelessness could cause a nearly fatal accident. Rogan captures the uncertainty and fear about AJ's condition, while showing everyone just how reckless the Pauls have been. Did he suffer head trauma, neck injuries? Is he completely okay? Will he ever be totally the same after this? John Fury's sincere message shows the pure relief and shock everyone feels seeing Anthony Joshua survive such a devastating crash. While AJ feels grateful to be alive, the Paul brothers are dealing with massive criticism and legal problems, their reputation destroyed by their supposed recklessness. AJ's friends dying tragically adds more guilt and outrage, and public opinion has completely turned against the Pauls. Logan Paul getting emotional while defending his brother just adds more fuel to the controversy, as fans can't understand how the brothers' fame connects to the chaos they allegedly created. Fury's message reminds us how fragile life really is and the huge difference between ring glory and brutal real-world consequences. Anthony made it through, but the Paul brothers' legacy is permanently damaged. Pain Games shows the harsh truth of Anthony Joshua's survival, focusing on the physical damage from the crash and how badly he was hurt. AJ is a fighter built to take punishment, but no training could get him ready for the trauma of losing friends and almost dying in a car accident. The Paul brothers' supposed role has just made public anger worse, and their arrest proves that being reckless has serious consequences. Fans see the difference between AJ's toughness and the Paul's questionable actions, from Logan being defensive to Jake's legal problems. The careful attention needed after such an accident makes the Paul brothers' involvement even more impossible to defend, leaving them embarrassed and under intense examination. Pain Games analysis captures both AJ's pain and the consequences that will follow the Pauls for years. This whole situation from Anthony Joshua's horrible car crash is nowhere near finished, and the Paul brothers are stuck in the middle of a storm they can't get out of. Jake's arrest and FBI investigation have shown their recklessness to everyone, leaving Logan clearly upset and fighting to defend his brother. Fans are absolutely furious, wondering how being famous and rich can't save them from taking responsibility. Meanwhile, AJ's friends dying tragically puts a dark cloud over this entire story, showing everyone that real people's lives were in danger. What's your take on Jake Paul getting arrested? Could this crash have been prevented, and should Logan keep standing up for his brother? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this incredible story.